Hi, I'm Peter Stillwell. I'm going to be presenting on face negotiation theory. This theory is created by Stella Ting Toomey, and the theory helps to explain cultural differences in response to conflict. Again, that is cultural differences in response to conflict. Now, there are two types of culture. There's an individualistic culture and a collectivist culture. Now, they sound self-explanatory, and they pretty much are. Individualistic cultures are cultures that are based upon self, saving face for themselves. So what do we mean by saving face? Well, the whole concept of this theory is that every person is trying to negotiate face. And face is a metaphor for personal self image or public self image, the way that we want others to see us and treat us. So in an individualistic culture, every single individual is trying to present face or negotiate face their public image for themselves. And you can either be negotiating face in a gain manner or a loss manner, trying to regain, restore your personal face, or you can be not doing well and losing face, losing your public image that you would like to be perceived as. In a collectivist culture, it is not based upon the individual, it is based upon the community as a whole. So an example of this would be Japan. Japan is a collectivist culture. So the individual is going to save or present or negotiate face for the public, for his peers, rather than himself. Where in an individualistic culture, like the United States, it's the opposite. They're going to rather negotiate face for themselves rather than their peer. So Ting Toomey suggests that face maintenance is the crucial intervening variable that ties culture to people's way of handling conflict. So handling conflict is how, or the concept behind this theory. How does each individual save face or negotiate face when conflict arises? Because there's no need to try and gain face or restore face unless conflict has occurred. So there's 5 distinct responses to situations in which there is an incompatibility of needs, interests, or goals. And the way that people react to this is that they avoid or they withdraw, they oblige or accommodate, they compromise, bargain, they integrate, they problem solve, or they dominate, compete. And each of these are ways that individuals negotiate face in conflict. If you're avoiding, then you're just trying to maintain. You're just going to ride it out, or you're not going to partake. You're going to say, I don't think that that's going to benefit me in an individualistic culture. You're obliging, you're accommodating. You're saying, oh, okay, well, let's, I guess I can join in on you with that. Compromising would be to say, well, I don't agree with this section. Can we maybe twist it to make it more compatible for the two of us or the group of us? Integrating, problem solving is saying, hey, there's a big problem with this. Let's fix it before we go ahead and move forward. And dominating is saying, I'm going to take over completely. And this is all about me. I'm going to make sure that this does not blow up in my face. So how does this apply to the regular business? I worked for a company and we installed low voltage security systems. I was a part of their fire alarm division. So I inspected fire alarms for companies. And I also did fire extinguishers. And a big part of this company, it's a small, family-owned, there's probably 40 of us. A big part of the company was that the president was involved in the everyday worker's life. I had a conversation with our CEO, president, every single day. I mean, there's only 40 of us, so it's not that hard to accomplish. But his goal was to ensure that we were on the same page. It was kind of a mesh between individualistic and collectivist. It was a mix between the two. And how he accomplished this was that he recognized that in our culture, we want to appear good, or we want to appear well liked. So he encouraged us and made relationships with us and made sure that we felt appreciated, that our face was safe within the company, that we knew we were doing a good job and we had areas that we could work on. And he made sure that there was good communication based upon what you were doing within the company and how you can be better and how you're doing really good. And that in turn created within his workforce of technicians a really good community that all knew that their face was safe. There was not a need for constantly negotiating our public image, because we knew that what we were doing was right, and we had the CEO had our back. So individualistically, we were all okay. We all felt good. And that in turn, he encouraged us, just like my parents always told me, when you leave this household and you're at school or you're at work, you represent the Stillwell name. It's not just you and your life. You represent me. You represent your father. You represent your mother. You represent your grandparents. You represent us as a whole. And the whole and that thought, that precipice, that concept carried over into his company. He said that when you're on a job site, you're not just representing yourself. You're not just saving face for yourself. You are saving face for the company. So when you're on the job site, you need to be professional. You need to act the way you're supposed to act. You need to accomplish the job in a timely manner. You should not be goofing off. You're there to do a job, so on and so forth. Be efficient, be kind, be considerate of the needs of the customer, and so on and so forth. So, but he could not accomplish having his technicians, who did very well, I must say, in the field, having a collectivist view of the workforce and saving face for one another in order that the company would look good as a whole. He could not have accomplished that if he did not, in the office, promote individualistic face. And on his part, he's always been collective. He's always looking to save the face of the other individual. But the technician themselves think in an individualistic way, because we live in an individualistic culture. So my point here is that you as a business owner, you as a CEO or a manager, should be in the business of saving face of your employees, not of yourself. Now, it's important to have a self-image, right? To be viewed the way that you want to be viewed. But if you are constantly saving face of your employees and encouraging them and not making them feel, of course, when they deserve it, when they feel, or not making them feel excluded or unnecessary, but rather encouraging them into the good things that they do and telling them where they can be more effective, you naturally will gain a good face. You're naturally going to be presented as a good boss. You're naturally going to be presented as somebody who cares about his people, his or her people. So we can use, or you can use, this Stella Ting Toomey's face negotiation theory to your advantage as a boss in the collectivist approach. It's so ingrained in our minds to be individualistic because of the culture that we live in, to think, well, this person wronged me, now I need to save face. But think about it completely different. In order to gain efficiency, in order to gain unity within your team, in order to produce what you need to produce at the level that you desire to do so, you need to support your employees. And the way that you can do that is by collectively viewing that when they feel that their face is being projected the way that they desire it to be, they're going to work better. They're going to be a better employee. You're going to have a better relationship with them. But if you're in a conflict with an individual, and it's a tertiary thing, it's not a disciplinary thing. Let's just say you don't agree about the best restaurant in town, right? Something tertiary. Who cares, right? Let the other individual save face. Because at the end of the day, you need them to work and you need them to do the job that you're asking them to do. And it's a lot easier if they want to do that job rather than dragging their feet. Now, I'm not saying that this is a catch-all, right? There are instances in our management experience and CEOs, whatever you may be, in a leadership position in a business that you need to put your foot down. But it is a lot easier to put your foot down when you have a workforce that trusts and knows that you have their back. A lot easier. Whereas if you are a boss that is constantly saving your own face, constantly brown-nosing those above you, constantly pushing down those that are beneath you, saying, you're not working hard enough, we're not producing the numbers that we need, then when you try and lead in a certain aspect or discipline or gain motivation in your workforce, it's going to be a lot harder. Whereas if you were constantly uplifting your employees, constantly saving their face, talking to your boss saying, hey, look at what my team has accomplished, instead of look at what I've done, and telling your employees, hey, you did a great job last week. We produced numbers like we haven't seen before, right? Give credit where credit is due. Then it's going to be a lot easier to muster motivation. It's going to be a lot easier to muster team unity, and so on and so forth. And a good way that we can practice this is right here, right now. And we'll sit around this table and we'll create a fake conflict. So let's say I'm a Lions fan and you're a Bears fan. And the Lions are going to be set to face you in the next Super Bowl. So we are at odds. We are at conflict. How are you, as a boss in this scenario, going to save face? Are you going to shut the other person down? And this is a silly thing, right? It's okay to have fun with your employees. But imagine this in a larger perspective. It can be a benefit to you and your companies if you take the time to uplift your employees and save their face rather than your own. Create a collectivist environment so that the individual wants to be a part of the collection. Thank you.